you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die, and can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
Welcome to the Center for Love and Light in Atlanta, Georgia. This is our event space where we hold public channelings, classes, workshops, and so much more. But we have a lot more to show you. Come on. All right, this is our kitchen. We have a working kitchen where we host classes for herbs, nutritional development, for all ages, and then we have independent rooms. We also have a media room. Our lighter side network is also here at the Center for Love and Light, including our Love and Light Institute, which is our nonprofit, where we run low-cost programming for all kinds of ages. I like it when people say, what is your market for all of this? If you're a person, you're our market. No more separating. Oh, you want to check out our cool conference room? Right. It's a little dark, but this is the way we keep it. We used to have a table in here, but nobody wanted to come in here and do any kind of business, so we took it out, put a couch in, some pretty sparkly lights, and now everybody hangs out here. Come on. This is our soon-to-be library. That's coming up. We have to categorize everything, so when I find some time, I'll get to it, I promise. Here we go. My office. My favorite thing about working here is that we have all the elements. We have our wood, the wood wall, we have a water wall, we have our steel, air, and light, and we have earth. We have all our plant life. And I have Martha in my room, which everybody here at the Center for Love and Light knows. She's 23 years old. She's a Hawaiian umbrella tree, and we always talk to Martha. So this is Martha. She keeps my office grounded. I know, when I say it out loud, I think, my God, that sounds so kooky and crazy, but it's not. Things like this balance the energy in the room, and we wouldn't have it any other way here. So what makes it work? Come on in. This is the physical therapy wing where Dr. Kate Edwards works. She does red cord therapy, which is very nice because now we're balanced with that physical healing, health, and wellness here. She's excellent. Precision performance. We love her. This is our maze. Out into the next hallway. To the lighter side studio. Yay! This is the Lighter Side Network where we film. We have currently 5 shows and we're expanding into more shows and also audio podcasts. So there's always work in progress here. So do excuse the mess, but here it is. This is where the magic happens. We have everything set up on stage so that we can clean the floors today. Aww. This is it. This is my dream. This is where I want to do all the trance channeling, and we do. We have Graceful Insights, which is a segment on my show, The Lighter Side Show, and my spirit guide, Grace, comes in and channels messages. We do it live on Facebook, which works really well, getting the audience engaged, all you Lumineers out there. And we're inviting other spirits to come in now to build a bigger platform for Graceful Insights. We have currently 4 on the platform, and they're getting a big voice. Place where dreams are made. See? Right now, myself and Darshana channel on the network. Lord Boone knows how to channel. She's now practicing and learning. And same with Dr. Carlin. And we did not plan this, but it is coming to light. Isn't that neat?
I'm a trance channeler.
I'm Jamie Butler. I'm a trance channeler. For me, I grew up with this ability. So having this ability, it sounds like disability when I say it out loud. Many people treat it that way, which is a little awkward. But for me, I don't know how to be without it. So it wasn't a moment in time where it triggered it to be so. I didn't have an upsetting childhood. I had a beautiful family life. My parents loved each other. We traveled together, we played. I had an older brother that was a little menacing, but I think that's the job of an older brother. I love him dearly. And growing up, I have always remembered seeing spirits, seeing energy. In fact, there's many stories with my parents talking about me saving seats for spirits or entities when they couldn't see or communicate to them. And at the age of 6, my parents finally decided that they would have that talk with me. You know, usually it's the talk with your child maybe about its adulthood life or sexuality. Mine was sitting down talking to a 6-year-old kid about, hey honey, can you please not see those spirits anymore? Can we please not do this? And it was my mother's job. She approached me. She said, well, honey, I can see them. And we're here on this vacation in Helen, Georgia. I grew up in Central Florida, which was about a 8-hour ride here. And she said, they really like this place and they want to stay here. And it would be so nice if you could give them a proper goodbye and they could be here and you would come home by yourself. You would come home alone. And I remember it so clearly. We had a brown Pontiac Bonneville car, which is like a whale. And I had purple glittered jelly shoes on. I loved them. And we were outside the car. The sun was shining. We were in a parking lot. And I said goodbye to each and every one of them. And they smiled at me. They didn't stop me. They didn't say, oh, wait, your mom didn't see us. They're not interfering at all. It was a very supportive moment. And I got in the car. I remember the sound of the door. And I wedged my feet up behind the driver's seat. And I stared at my shoes. And I just realized, like, what is happening? My whole life, I've never been alone at the age of 6. I say my whole life, but you talk to kids these days and, the age of 6, they've had a lifetime of experience. And it was the first time that I rode away and I didn't have anybody to talk to. There was no other spirit there. It was the first time experiencing solitude, loneliness. And this is probably the first time I've shared this story, Kevin, without bawling my eyes out. Because in going back and thinking about it, it was horrific. It was so sad. I watched them. I said goodbye. They never came back. Ever. So it wasn't until I was, you can hear it in my voice. It's traumatic. It wasn't until I was 18 and I left for college. I moved out of the house. My parents were like, bye. So I was at college and I took this class called the Psychic Awareness class, and it was at a community college. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I'll go do that. So I went in there, and this was the first time I'm in a community of people freely talking about calming the mind, communicating to spirit, the deceased, all of this. And I've had these experiences throughout my whole life, even not seeing the spirits between ages 6 and 18. There were dreams, notions, aha moments, call them what you wish. And I'm in a room now with people talking about it. And I'm 18, and everybody else is mid-40s, 50s, 60s. They're having their awakening, and I'm having a curiosity. At the second class, the teacher, Marguerite Romes, said, listen, you're going to come to my house, and you're going to study this with me. You have something. And I was like, oh, here we go again, this something, this dis-ease, the thing that we're talking about over here. And she was the one who helped me realize that it's normal, that this is okay. And by now, moving away from my parents, my visions had come back. I was seeing entity, I was hearing voices, which put most people into psychiatric wards. And I did at one point call home and ask my dad if he would kindly put me in a hospital. I asked him, I said, do you ever see that movie Sybil? You know, the woman with multiple personalities? I was like, do you know that? I was like, I think that's me. I know things that I haven't learned. I know things about other people that they haven't told me. I'm seeing things that other people can't see. Like, I'm losing myself. I started doing drugs, anything just to get the lights and the spirit to go away. I would take LSD to go to college, just to go to class. And people were taking it to make the lights come on, to have this groovy experience. And me, I would take it and it would dull it. It would make it go away. It would make me feel normal, like how I saw the rest of people. So it was an escape for a bit, but that wasn't healthy. It wasn't good at all. And I had nobody hanging over my head going, oh, Jamie, that's a bad choice. Just chill out and hang with the spirits. And I had called home again, and my dad says, listen, before you make any of these big decisions, what you really want to do, talk to your grandmother, my Nana. And my Nana is my dad's mom. She was the one who told me that this ran in the family. Nobody else said a word. Can you imagine? You're 6 and you're seeing spirits. You're talking to them. You know things about life that a 6-year-old doesn't know. They don't know. And they don't mention anything. You're in college and you're freaking out. You're thinking you're having all this psychotic breakdown and you're having a spiritual awakening. Still, family says nothing because it's taboo, my Nana said. We thought if we didn't talk about it, it would go away for you. We thought it would make it better for you. And that was the understanding then. And we're talking, 1990s, that if we're to be quiet about it, that's going to make it okay. And it was not okay. It was not okay whatsoever. I couldn't function. And so this 6-week class that I'm talking about, this psychic awareness class, and she was like, you've got to come with me. I was like, okay, I'll go, which was a little weird because I didn't know her so well. And Marguerite took me into her home and she taught me how to unsee the subtle light energy that's off everything. I mean, if you could imagine, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, imagine being in a room with 10 other people. And now those 10 people have 5 different kinds of colors coming off of them. So we have like 50 different lights right there. Now, if those 10 people, each of those 10 people have maybe 3, 4 spirits around them, and those spirits have light. Now let's go a little further. Everything in that room has energy shining off of it. Now science can measure all this, which makes me feel less crazy than I thought I really was, but it's overwhelming to process that much information all at once without somebody going, oh, you're okay. This is okay. Bodies actually function this way. You're not broken, and better yet, Jamie, you're not different nor advanced than other. You're a norm. I'm a norm, but I'm still not seen that way yet, culturally, in the American environment. But I'm looking forward to it, that's coming about, which I'm excited this information is coming out. So I'm in my early 20s, and I've learned to tune my subtle light vision out so I can have a normal experience. I stopped doing the drugs. I claim my abilities as being an extra sense. That I know a lot of people call it the sixth sense, but I've grown to find that it's like having those five senses, and then above each layer there's a heightened way to use each of that sense. So I think that's where the sixth sense really lies in my perception of it. So all five senses are really heightened, and I'm using it to help myself grow, and I'm allowing my ability to be normal and natural in my everyday life, which is what I advocate a lot for with other people who are struggling with this. And my teacher says to me one day, you know what else you can do? You are someone who can allow spirit to come through and talk. And I can tell you, I shut the doors real fast. I was like, oh God, no, 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 no. That's invasion of privacy. This is my body. This is my space. And she was like, absolutely it is. You're always in control. You're always in control. So I observed her, and she would channel this entity named Maitland. And she was a young little girl. And my teacher, Marguerite, is in her late 60s. She has this metal plate in her hip from a surgery, and she can't sit cross-legged like I am right now. Her hip didn't move that way. As soon as Maitland would come into the body, first thing she'd do is grab Marguerite's legs, and she'd pull them up, and she'd sing songs and tell us all about life. And she was so lovely. I really liked this kid. And Marguerite, one day I came to class one evening, and she goes, guess what, Jamie? You're going to sit in the middle, and you're going to trance channel tonight. I was like, lump in throat, can't do it, heart pounding, this is new. I see them, I hear them, they're out there, that's fine. I don't need them in me. Here's my boundary. She was like, well, let's talk about that. She put me in the middle room. She counted me backwards. She used a hypnotic technique, a deep trance meditation, got me calm, and then I felt myself fall. It was the most interesting feeling. I was excited and scared at the same time, but not scared so much that I'm going to jerk myself out of it and get back in my body. It was like having an outer body experience where, for those of you who haven't had that, have you had a time where you're really exhausted and you're going to sleep, and you get that feeling of, oh, I'm about to fall into a deep sleep, and you just kind of go into it? It's like that. So I had that feeling of, oh, I'm really going out. And then I remember seeing the back side of my head up here, and I felt my jaw moving, like it was chewing gum. And I could hear a voice, and I'm like, it sounds like me, but it wasn't echoing in my head like I'm normally used to hearing it between my ears, this vocal resonance. It was there in front of me. And I thought, my God, I'm losing control. And so the session was kind of short, and I came back in, and I looked around the room. I didn't really remember what was said, but I knew it was being said. I was conscious of that. And my teacher, Marguerite, was just like, that's trance channeling, and you have this ability. She taught me that it was precious, that it was something to groom, to practice. And almost every night after that, I sat down, I made a practice out of it, deep meditation, creating a relationship with entities where I knew that they would respect my body. That, I wasn't going to come out of it and be completely undressed. Oddly enough, that's something you have to think about. That I wasn't going to be harmed physically, that I wasn't going to be left in a weakened state of mind or emotional state, that if I was going to have this trance channeling relationship, that we needed to make it clear that they were going to leave my body in a better place than when they got into it. So it's a long story of, hey Jamie, how'd you get into trance channeling? But that's the way it came about.
Something happened, something changed in you to allow this to come through.
I don't know if it was a change. If it was left up to me, I wouldn't have pursued it. It's very invasive when you think about it. But that experience of being outside, that immense joy, of course, the human side had the fear of, I'm not in control. And that's something that you need to be comfortable with. there is a surrender flag that pops up and it says, I'm vulnerable. I have pure trust and faith that you're going to love and keep me safe. But your spirit, the way that it feels in this place, and I don't even know what to really call it, beyond a different dimensional plane, where I go when I'm trance channeling, I call it the fountain of youth. I quote it that because I feel like I'm not aging when I'm there, and that I'm just kind of just shaving those hours off my life.
Well, okay, a lot more channelers now seem to be doing conscious channeling, where they're consciously aware of the teachings and what's being said, right? On this journey of mine, I've not met many trance channelers. There are not that many out there.
Because there's not that many people who want to give up control. Now, when you ask the question, so you can't teach trance channeling, I believe you can. And it's not a teaching, it's an unteaching. It's getting away from what we've learned of how to navigate a human life, right? Let's look at humans. We've been in risk management and survival mode from moment one of creation. And we need to be, because that's how we thrive. That's how we know we're going to live and our children are going to live and so forth. So I give it to you. Great. It's ingrained in us. And that kind of survival, risk management, prep, the worry that keeps us alive, so to say, is also what's keeping us so grounded that we can't enjoy the other parts of our human existence. And our other parts of this human existence is the relinquishing. It is raising our vibrations to be in these other dimensional planes that are available to us, but maybe aren't studied yet. Maybe they don't have labels. We don't exactly know how to approach it, but it's happening in things such as trance channeling. So when I'm having classes and I'm teaching mediumship, so that's the relationship with you and energy, or the information within energy. That's what I call mediumship. You can get information out of energy. Mediumship, great. So then we take it further into communicating to spirits or entities, multidimensional beings. Great. We do that in a way that is not so much like we're talking right here. This is a very human thing. We're using English as a language. We're using spoken language, and we're relying on vocal quality and listening skills, right? And some of us rely on what we see or what we smell, but most of the time if we're on the phone, those two qualities aren't existing. When we're communicating to energy, that's not the case. We have to communicate with some kind of an emotional intelligence. It's a different kind of language, kind of how we communicate with our animals or babies before they have spoken language. In doing that, in learning how to do that, when people do that, I feel that we can then show them a path to trance channeling, into getting away from the body. That's like saying, can outer body experiences be taught? And I think they can as well. Astral projection. Lucid dreaming can be taught. There's a discipline and a control over the luggage, the instrument that you have, that you can then use it to support this multi-dimensional experience.
But it's almost like there is the people are waking up all the time right now, and what was it harder to go through this at a younger age compared to those who, are in their 30s or 40s waking up and going through this experience?
When you're talking about waking up, whatever age somebody is waking up, I think they're going to find their own easy path and difficult path. So the English language really makes it difficult to talk about this stuff because it's so beyond the spoken language that I want to express that when I was 21 and I learned trance channeling, it was quite different. And even though I was 21, I probably looked like I was 16 or 15 years old. And that made it more difficult, that when I went out into the public and said, I can do this, which my teacher at the time was very adamant that I got out and kind of spoke about it and shared and found my vocabulary, because if not, here I am going to have these incredible experiences, and I'm going to be trapped inside this body because I don't have the words to talk about it to somebody, to anybody. So I was grateful that she put me out there, but people were coming by, lining up outside this psychic fair that she used to put on. And she told me one time that she was sick and that she couldn't show up and that I had to be there. I had to go do it for her because I was her favorite and this was the deal. And I was like, oh my God, my teacher's ill. Of course, I'll do anything for her. I love her. I showed up. People came by the table and were just like, oh, you're not old enough, right? You've got to be gray-haired, wart on your nose, some long fingernails, and some wrinkles. You can't do this. You know, here I am like with this blonde bob cut, no wrinkles, doe eyes, like, I don't even know why I'm here, but I have my teacher's table. Then at lunch, one person came by. Like, I waited hours, nobody showed up. And he just kept passing by, and I was like, I'll do it for free, you know, like, please? And then it got out, oh, okay, she can do that. You know, and I still think we do that in our culture now. We have the older one is the wise one. Our wise ones are our elders, period. And I think we're blowing the roof off of some of these things. It's not the old ones, you know, that are our wise ones anymore. We have kids showing up who can do it. You know, and it's not even a comparison. Like, I also want people to step away from, I studied this for 8 years and I'm an expert. We have people who wake up overnight and they are doing this. Overnight. And their energy is attuned, it's aligned. It's saying, I have this whole other world that we're now going to show you. And we can't really label what this is. We might call it a spiritual emergency, you know, where something happened in their life and it opened up this. But we also have people who don't have that, and it's waking up for them. In my perspective, I feel that the earth is waking up, that the planet we live on is alive, and it has vibrations and energies that we feed off of, that we communicate to every day unknowingly. And that because her heartbeat is changing and those vibrations are changing, so are we. And the ones that are highly sensitive are changing first. So into my 30s, I am still doing readings. And the way that I describe readings is that I stay conscious and I listen and repeat. I feel like an auctioneer, a translator. And I really trained myself to listen to one word at a time and repeat it. And that is how I got so fast at it. Listen to one word, just repeat it. I didn't need my brain to go, what are you listening to? Do you understand that? We need to learn that. No, I had to shut everything down, get on the fence, stay neutral. And in doing that, the work came through much easier, the information. Now, I do have sessions where I trance channel, and that is where I allow an entity, a spirit, to incorporate into my body so that I could speak freely, or they could speak freely through me. So it is, let's see, the difference. When I have channeled readings, it is a full incorporation where the spirit comes into the body and speaks through me. And in doing this, I don't remember or recall what the information is, what I'm saying, what the body is doing. I step back and allow them to connect intimately on their own. When I do that, I normally have another person in the room that is going to anchor me. Now, I can trance channel all on my own. Absolutely, I can. I don't 100% feel comfortable with it. I like to have somebody who is aware of my physical needs as a human, because in the energetic world, I have a spirit who's highly aware of all my energetic needs. And so those are getting met, but I also need my physical body taken care of. Because if a person is coming for a session, they're not going to know how to take care of me while I'm channeling. That's too much to ask. So I like to have somebody else in the room for that. So as I've gotten into my, it's probably around 33, I started to do group channelings where I didn't have to have just one person sitting in on a private session. I had a group of people, and I had one person who would take care of me, but everybody could ask questions, and I started building these little monthly groups. And we've been doing that for a long time now. Now we do it once a month here at the Center for Love and Light, and we have about 60 people who show up and engage with entities and spirits that come through. They teach, answer questions. It's really, really beautiful.
Okay, so going back again, so you're building your career up into your sort of mid and early 30s, and before that as well, and yeah, okay. So here we have the trance channeling there as well. So just for those, what is? I should ask you this really as well. What is channeling to you? What if someone said to you, "I channel," or you, in your own understanding, what would that mean to you?
I would still take it in the same direction. If somebody came up to me and said, I channel, I would hear the word channel and say, oh, that person collects information from energy, period. But if they came up to me and say, I do automatic writing, that's a form of channeling. Energy moves through the hand, dictates everything down on paper. If they said, no, I channel with spirit, I would then further say, well, are you conscious? So are you awake? So that could be a spirit translation, much like the auctioneer, like I do in my readings. Or are you trance channeling, but maybe sharing space? The spirit's coming into the body, the spirit's using the voice, using the gestures, but you're very much aware with what's going on. You have full memory of everything that's happening. Or is it a trance channel where you're 100% out? They're completely incorporated into the body. So for me, I've experienced those different kinds of channel levels. But bottom line, if you're channeling, you're able to receive information.
But then when you give your readings, isn't that a form of psychic channeling, clairaudient channeling? You could add the word channeling to all the clairsentient channeling.
You could add that all together. But in my readings, for me, I guess because I've had the ability since I was born, to me, it honestly feels like I am translating for someone. That you came in and you don't speak spirit language, but I do. So I'm just going to translate while they're talking to me, and I'm going to tell you about it. And that's it.
Okay.
But that's a form of channeling. You could say clairaudient channeling, because I'm listening. You could say clairvoyant channeling because I'm observing them and I'm saying, oh, he's holding his hands like this, and now he's pointing at you like this, and now he's smiling crooked.
Do you see an evolution in channeling as well? Do you see that there's more channelers coming forward now as well?
I have seen that there are more channelers coming forward. I'm grateful for that too. I don't believe it's because all of a sudden we drank the water and we're able to channel. I think we've hit a mass critical point where we now have the language to say, oh, what I'm doing is channeling. Because you've always been doing it to some degree.
Could you swap the word channeling for receiver?
Oh, I like that. Yes. Right. We could. That would totally align with all the new awareness now about how that organ in our brain or that organ in our head really works, because they've now been able to see that it transmits and receives signals. So it goes right along with channeling.
Going back then, so you're 35-ish, you've got your business set up, you had your own, Jamie Butler was your sort of trading name. Then channeling Eric happened. So just what did that do for you when that came into your life?
I was trying to think how old I was when I met Eric, because I had both my babies, so I was probably 36, 7, somewhere in there. I already had the Center for Love and Light. We were running group channelings. I was working worldwide. I had authored a book. I was doing readings, booked out for months at a time. And I got the appointment with Elisa Meadows, and it was word of mouth, which is the best and most like honored kind of advertisement. And when she called up and we had the session, I remember I was in Florida because I was on vacation, but I still would do my readings or my work while we were off site. And after the first session, I remembered, sitting down afterwards and crying to myself about it because it was so terribly visual and it was visceral. And not a lot of spirits can communicate to that kind of level. It's almost like spirit, they get excited to talk to you. They do give you the words, they just want to get the words across. You want to convey it. But Eric had a way of not just conveying it, but showing you, and you could feel it. It's almost like you could smell what he was showing you. It was quite unnerving. She did reach out, and she came to the table with a beautiful idea of wanting to do a blog and getting her son's words out there. Of course, I didn't blog. I didn't know what any of that was, and I thought it was a great idea because I knew the kid could do it. I mean, he was doing it, and in such a way that it was challenging for me. He had language I didn't use, the F-bombs and the B's and the D's. He had all of it just raw, and he didn't do it in a way where you were like, I'm being, bombarded or abused by his words. He would tell me, it's the intent behind the words. You don't have to listen to the word, listen to the intent behind it. That's why I'm saying it. I'm like, okay, I get it. But I've never before in my entire career had the F-bomb married with trance channeling and energy and healing work. That didn't go. That didn't work. That was a boundary of mine I drew a long time ago. Only bad spirits do that, right? So my head is like, what's going on? I had to relearn it. And it was exciting. I was like, oh God, this kid's showing me that I have some belief systems that aren't working anymore. And he just cut those wide open, and he did it time and time again. And I was so grateful that his mother was willing to put herself out there in that way and scramble. Boy, she worked so hard to get it out there.
So that really changed a lot of things for you when that took place, and do you think that put you on a different level in a sense?
It changed my work. It honestly did. At this point, I mostly worked with people who had spiritual awakenings. What's happening to me? Can you teach me? Can you show me? I worked with some people who had cancer and were crossing over. I worked with a lot of people who had missing people, missing persons. I had done work with FBI. I've done work with police officers, things of that nature. So we had that. I did not have a big community with mental illness or diseases or suicidal tendency or notions, and not really prepared for that because I hadn't had the history of it. And now all of a sudden I had a clientele that was coming in because Elisa was able to set the tone so well for people who are having a hard time with life, thinking about dying, and or had someone who did commit suicide. Even the word commit suicide, it just doesn't resonate well with me anymore. It doesn't represent really what it is, but opting out feels better. That they had a place to go. All of a sudden they had a community that was listening to them. It was beautiful. And then through that they were like, well, we want to talk to Jamie. We want to talk to Eric directly, or we want to talk to Jamie, and I want Jamie to talk to these people. And now I had this clientele that were challenged with mental illness, disease, and suicide. And, I worked my way through it for some part, but then after 2, 3, 4 years, I struggled with it. It brings a different kind of vibration, and I felt ill-equipped. Me as a person, this is something outside of who I am and what I can do. Because I knew I didn't have the capabilities, but Spirit did. And, and so I had to look at my clientele, and I had to decide that I was reaching a place where I didn't, have the tools to carry forward. And I was changing gears in my career. And so it ended up being a time of parting ways. The one message that I would like to give is that it's not woo-woo, it's true. And I know it's my tagline and it sounds very bubbly and fun, but listen to it. It's not woo-woo anymore. Our beliefs and our definitions that we've put to these experiences because of somebody else or because the olden days, they're changing. And we have the proof behind it now. We can prove the truth behind it. It's okay to trust anybody who is there working with energy or communicating to spirit, or communicating to multidimensional beings, subtle light energy, what's outside of the human five senses, is that you're still in control. That is a big take home. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not real. Just because you can't feel it doesn't mean it's not real, or that it has power over you because you can't perceive or see it in a certain way that you're comfortable with. No, you are in control. One, two, three. I know you. And you know me. Maybe. My name is Maitland, Maitland, and you're Kevin, and that's Sunny, and that's Laura. Now we know everybody.
Say hi to Sunny.
Hi. We're on the couch together. I am 9 years old. I choose to be 9 years old. I don't have to be 9 years old. I like it. The reason I like it is because I can say really big, profound things to adults and people, and they think it's cute, and they want to listen, and they want to understand why somebody who's 9 years old can understand all of it. So I use it as a technique, and I'm going to keep it because it works. I came back not because I was invited. Somebody needs to send me an invite. But because today I heard Kevin mention an interest in time and understanding why the humans function on a linear time pattern belief, and that in the reality of the existence around you as a human, that time is not linear. Because energy, everything is made up of energy. Everything. It's really exciting. All your thoughts, your hair, the dog, the couch, your fingernails, the book, the TV you're watching it on right now, it's all energy. And when we look at it, we get in closer and closer to the material, and everything is made of particles. It's particles. We look in it on an atomic and a subatomic level, and we get into particles and more particles and protons and neutrons and electrons, and we see that there's energy and magnetism and movement. But the biggest surprise, there's more space in there than there is matter. That the way you're perceiving the energy around you even has a human perception fault. Because energy doesn't understand time and space like you do. It doesn't get it. And I'm very happy it doesn't get it. Because we can look at energy in one location in the world and energy in a different location in the world, and it's all part of the same. And we can stimulate one and the other one reacts simultaneously. And scientists, you've been very good, and I'm very grateful for you because you guys are proving a lot of this today and by running experiments. But it goes much, much deeper and further than that. Soon you're going to understand that all the solid matter that you're looking at is not really solid at all. you're going to start to notice all the empty space between all the particles, and you're going to use that to your own benefits. But for right now, you're not that kind of human, and you're not in that time space right now. Like, you're not in that mind space right now. And there was interest in understanding why time is linear for people, because in your third dimensional, and you can interrupt me at any time. We're having a conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That humans, to grasp what it is to have the human existence, because third dimensional plane is that of duality, and in other dimensional planes, we don't have duality. Sorry. Like, when you come here where I am, you're not going to experience this big difference between happiness and sadness, because the sadness doesn't really vibrate here where I live. It doesn't really work. So you can try your hardest to be sad. It's just not going to be a good sad. Like, you just can't do it. So third dimension is duality. And you have these positives and these negatives that you believe in. And to have this duality, you need to have a GPS, or a locational device. So the way that you decided to perceive time was that you're in one spot, it went off. You don't have to compete with it anymore. That you have one spot, and then you have to travel, and it takes time to travel. And that in the belief system that there is time and space, you get to validate that you're separate, that you're an individual. But if you start to believe that there's no time and space value, then you're going to have to start understanding that you're part of unity, a whole. Do you get me?
Where you're at then, can you see a much bigger picture about this topic than in my tiny, perspective?
Yes. Well, because I have a different body than you.
But you're not going to go forcing your understanding on me unless I can no.
Why would I? It's not going to serve you well, because you're living in a third dimensional plane. Having the duality and the time and space definition of linear time is serving you in your lessons and your understanding of being human. I think it's funny that people on earth want to strive for enlightenment. I just want to be enlightened. And I kind of laugh and I say, if you want to be enlightened, just come home. And then when you get here, you know what you're going to realize? I got here too quick. I really wanted the discovery and the struggle and the duality and the surprise and the mystery, because that's what is gifted to you when you're in a third dimensional plane as a human.
Well, you've had a human experience, yeah?
I have many.
Yeah. Of course you have, yes. And, well, if that's the case then, yeah, you say it's better, you just, are you aware of more on that side when you crossed over? I mean, they say sometimes, don't they, that, if your grandpa passed away, with this knowledge that he did on the earth side, what makes him more valuable on the other side to talk to?
Because when you come here, you have a choice. It's the same as being alive. You have a choice when you're alive. But when you come here, you have a choice of understanding or accepting more knowledge. So you have a belief system that when you're human, to gain more knowledge, you have to go and learn it. You have to study it. You have to get a book out. You have to have an experience. You have to and get through the information and then organize it and put it to use.
Right.
Not here. You come here and you have a choice of, do I want to know that? Do I want to connect to that more? There's an ease over here. So if I want to understand much more or gain more knowledge, I ask and I open up. So the big library or the Akashic records, however you want to see it, all of it is available to me, and I decide what knowledge I'm going to hold available. I have access to all of it, though.
Why wouldn't you want to access it all, though?
Well, why do I want to know all of it, Kevin? What good would it do me to know all of it? Boring. Have you ever been all-knowing just for 2 minutes?
No, but I think... No, but I think that's my thing, isn't it? My thing here seems to be wanting to just know more and more and more. I want to know more. Well, hence my last name, right?
It is your last name. That's funny. Kevin Moore.
Yeah, wants to know more. But then I meet some people on this path who are really deeply into this work and they do not want to know any more.
Yes, that's it. That's part of enlightenment. You get it. You know that all the information exists there. And if you want to access it, you can. So you're no longer in a need or in depravity. Is that the word, depravity?
It's a good word.
Depravity? There's a word for it. Where you feel like you need to have it because you can't get it. Because most of the belief systems that humans have adopted, besides linear time, is that you don't possess a knowledge until you learn it or experience it.
Yes.
So we play small as a human. I should say you play small as a human.
Right.
When you come over here, or when you become more confident and more enlightened on earth, it's not the information that you seek. You have an understanding that you have access to it all.
But for my mind, on this side of the veil, right, I'm like, if I was where you are, I would want to know what the hell this was all about in the first place and where I'm going to. Do you know where you're going? Yes?
I know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you. That's mean, isn't it? Did you want to know why I can't say?
You read my mind?
Well, ask the question.
Why can't you say?
Because me sharing the information with you would interfere with your process of getting to the place where you want to go. Sometimes it doesn't interfere with people. Sometimes we can absolutely have the conversation with a human and they're like, yep, that's where I'm going, and they go. And then sometimes when we have the conversations with humans, when we know that it's going to undermine their strategy to get there, because now they already know, they give up, they stop, and they take away their own experience, which is a free will tactic, and that's fine, but we aren't to interfere. We're here to assist and help.
Did I make that agreement to myself before?
Yep.
Did I make it on every life?
You have a lot of lives. Yes, we make them on every journey we take. There's great purpose to every action. There's a purpose we're having a conversation now.
I'm grateful for this conversation, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for everyone's time in this room and to have this conversation, and for people to be watching this conversation, I'm grateful for that, but I'm almost like, oh shit, I really don't know, what do I know right now in all this journey I've taken with these channelers?
You know everything and nothing.
Ay, that is true. Maybe I'm coping. Yes, over there.
That's me. I find it interesting that humans focus on the intelligence and the experience of learning as a top priority, as an end game. When we ask for the meaning of life and why we're here, it's not about intelligence, and it's not about learning, and it's not about knowing. It's about emotionally fulfilling and being emotionally centered within your life. So you could possess all the knowledge or focus your entire life to gain knowledge. But when you look back, it is the emotional relationships that you built become the most valuable and the reason why you had the existence to begin with.
Well, you can still search for that knowledge, but what are you saying then, that how much do you come from love in the decisions that you make, learning to experience love? And
all kinds of variations of love. Every emotion you experience comes from some variation of love. People are made in the image of love. People are emotional beings. But somewhere along the way, you decided that thinking was way more valuable and that being intelligent and smart was the end game. Joke's on you.
But to not have that part of us, we wouldn't be where we're at, though. We're not, we're here in this day and age, with the scientific...
Wait. You mean that if people didn't strive to know more, you don't think that they would be where they are today?
Yeah.
Well, where do you think that the urge to know more comes from?
The soul, maybe? The soul, is it, do you think, or the heart?
The emotions.
The emotions. See, I'm not getting it, am I? No, I'm trying to. The emotions. So the emotions are the driving force for wanting to further ourselves.
Yes, the passion.
Yeah.
Maybe people want to live their passion, their purpose. Purpose is emotional.
Yeah.
Purpose is the perfect alignment of your emotions. And that creates joy. And when we live in joy, all kinds of magic happens.
Wait,
right, Sonny?
Well, do you think that we're not, do you think a lot of us are not going with our emotions?
Absolutely, I agree.
I tried recently to go with my emotions. I actually did, all right? I'm trying. So you think if we listen to our emotions more, no matter if it doesn't turn out the way we'd like it to be, yes, you...
I was wanting you to finish.
No, it's okay.
If you you did try to go with your emotions, but can I make an observation?
No choice, yep.
Okay, you can always cut this out. You waited to the very last minute. You held on and you held on, and then finally you were like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. And I'm gonna share. But if you were really guided by your emotions, then these expressions of connection to the other person would have come up much, much sooner. And they wouldn't have come so forward. It would have been small bites of talking about emotion and connection and then building into something stronger.
I fucked that up, didn't I?
You said the F word. No, but I just wanted to make an observation that most humans are looking at, well, I connect, I share with how I feel,
no, you're
but
right.
Really it comes at a last opportunity moment because they strategized in their head as far as they could go and it was dead end and they weren't getting what they wanted and it was blocked over here, and so they're like, finally I'm going to share what I feel, and then all of a sudden it's way too much to receive. And so if you were reacting emotionally now, you would have a follow-up conversation about it from the heart. And it wouldn't be relying on if you were right or wrong or saying the best words, because that's all strategy and head. And when we go with our head, we're going for an end game. When we're going with our heart, we're really going with, some people call it vulnerability, but we're not coming in with an end game. It's kind of that feeling of, we want everything to be okay. We want it to be out there and visible.
Yeah, so emotions, it just, you pointing that out, that's so important. We do live into the last minute and we don't listen. What would the world be like though if we were to go from that alignment of listening to our emotions more?
Wow. Like everybody?
Mm.
The majority of people?
Mm.
We would, speaking in general, if humans were to go with their emotions, and that means make decisions from their emotions and speak from their heart when they're communicating, we would find that our communities would start building balance and building together strong within trust. we would find more time into helping the strength of our earth and our environment heal, because those would become priorities, because all the mental strategies and climbing corporate ladders and the success mentally wouldn't be there as a competition factor, because we would be more involved in meeting each other's needs. And when we meet each other's needs, we both find joy and happiness. Even if there isn't understanding intellectually of why that person has that need, we respect that they are intelligent. And from where they're speaking, they have that need. And then we can communicate if we can fulfill it or not, and create peace with those decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of like it when you're a little tired. There's more you in there.
Well, thank you. Well, there is no end game here, is there? I mean, all this, you know, what? I mean, thought I was doing this documentary to help people wake up to a greater sense of themselves, to, you know, which is what it's so cliche, because I hear that from so many people that have done documentaries. You know, want to help, you know, wake up people, or, you know, a birth of a new consciousness. This is ongoing forever. It feels like this journey, this human journey. I mean, is it ongoing forever? We keep coming back because we want to so desperately to come back?
Like in incarnations?
Yeah.
Yep. It's a great place. It's a great place. I like that company. Life is good.
Yeah, I like that. Life is good.
But when we look at your documentary and why you're doing it, Kevin, you're giving us our rights back. Everything we do each day is going to wake us up. Even if it's eating oatmeal and we've done it 100 times before. Or smile at the person across the street that we've never smiled at before. Everything's going to wake us up. That's part of being alive. What you're doing is you're giving us our rights back to be intuitive people, to be channelers. That's a natural right.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it is. I think it is. Yeah, absolutely. And there's many ways people can, you know, tap into their channel, you know, become a channeler. And you know, they don't have to be thinking that they're going to be a channeler and then be on stage. I mean, they could be channeling to themselves or to their family.
This is like the first TV, the first entertainment. Channeling. You'd go to the sorcerer, the gypsy, you'd go to the prophet, you'd go to the soothsayer, and get your messages. And people of all walks of life did this. With money, with no money. People in government do this. People without government. Decisions or no decisions. Curiosities. And we go and we seek what is outside of us that we can't find in ourselves, because humans have decided to play small. They've decided to surrender their own power, but yet decide that other people have the right to that power, and they're going to go seek them out and get the stories and the lessons and the information. But if we all just took the time to develop this heart center, we would all have our own channels to listen to. And then I could come and talk to a lot of you.
And it's having the faith, isn't it? Is it faith that people need for it, or is it just the willingness, or the?
It's funny. I think faith was a great word for so many centuries, and now we're getting back into the age of logic, where we got to know stuff, right? We were just talking about this. So when we say faith, Like more than half of everybody listening is going to say, well, I kind of need some proof on that too. You know, they need some proof. So I would say I want humans to get away from the logic, but maybe we don't have to go back into faith, which sounds a bit mysterious, but let's go into the age of experience. Have an experience. And from that experience, decide, is it for you? Did it work? What was it like? What could you change? But at least go have an experience.
Yeah. What could that be? Just, I mean, we're talking about channeling in this documentary, but I mean, an experience of just
receiving a reading, being taken through a guided meditation, going through a past life regression, hypnosis, EMDR, EFT, could be all kinds of things. It could be simply a deep tissue massage that takes you into this state of mind. It could be learning the De Silva mind method technique. It could be learning Reiki. It could be receiving Reiki. It could be all kinds of incredible things.
Yeah, because all these places lead to the same space, don't they? That's the thing.
Which is being able to be engaged with subtle light energy. Which is what I was saying is our natural right, which is what you're waking us up to. We have the right to go beyond our traditional five senses and get into our intuitive senses.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we at a point where a need for more information to come through is important right now?
Yes.
Why is that important, to go beyond what we've already learned so far and to go deeper?
Well, there's several different reasons why it's so important. Let's go over a few of them. So in every person, they have 4 distinct bodies. They have the mind body, emotional body, physical body, and the spiritual body, or the energetic body. But we look at the world, we could say the same thing. We look at the world, we can say the same thing. So the world, let's take it on a physical perspective, because when we look at the world right now, it's changing her vibrations and even changed her polar magnetisms. Is that what I call it? Magnetism? The poles changed. You knew that, right?
Yes.
They switched. So that's physically happening. When we look at people, the energy of the people are changing, because we're getting away from the male's masculine energy dominating the ruling or the structure of human life on earth, and it's going into a feminine structure. So we're going away from patriarchal and we're diving into matriarchal, and these shifts are very important. We're going away from a fixed, very yang, very Pingala, very sun oriented, and we're going into moon, we're going to Ida, we're going to yin, feminine, flexibility. And in doing that, bringing in our intuition, which is also a feminine quality by nature, which just means it's fluid. I'm only talking about the quality of things. I'm not saying that this is good or a bad. A good or a bad is a straight up judgment, and that's not what I'm saying here. I'm just talking about the quality of the energy. And so just these 2 things happening out there in the big wide world, it's more important for us to become more aware of our emotional heart, because that's going to keep us up to date. Nobody wants to be behind the times. So emotional heart's going to help us, and being more aligned intuitively is going to help us. That's why you feel so darn compelled to put all these stories together. When you started off with, I have 15 people I picked and I really like it, and you're going to end up with like 50. 50!
You know, I almost feel like I could speak to myself from 7 years in the future right now, and there would be it would show me kind of what is possible. Not what's going to happen, but what's possible.
You can talk to your future self.
We can all talk to our future self, can't we?
Mm-hmm. You know why?
Time's not linear.
Time's not linear.
Time's not linear.
It's not. It's all wrapped and bundled.
It's almost like, I feel doing this documentary, I could become a very powerful channeler after this. It's almost like I've gone on this journey to just remember myself. I don't know.
And the narrator has ended the story.
Yeah? I'm so confused right now about a lot of things. But that's not a bad place to be in.
No, confusion is a sweet spot. Plenty of room for opportunity and plenty of room to reassess in a centered and neutral way.
I just don't want to know if doing this journey by myself all the time, I just don't know if I want it by myself all the time. I mean, but we don't seem to have a choice sometimes. We just got to get bloody on with it. And it's like, I don't know, is it...
If you brought anybody into your life right now in your confusion, they would be matching your confusion state. And then when you got clear, doesn't mean that they're going to get clear. They could stay confused for a long time, and it wouldn't match your energy.
Guess at least I'll be clear.
So let's wait. Ding, your battery's going low.
Yeah, I really wish, I'm sure I've got some stuff for the documentary here. I know I have. I know, there's a part of me that's always in these interviews that's like, God, you're not asking the right questions, but it's very difficult to stay, because you want a conversation, don't you? And it's like, maybe this is where I'm up to right now in my head. So this is what needs to be going in right now, some of this. I hope I'm making sense there.
Can I ask a favor?
Yes.
Can you put that in the documentary?
Of course.
Because I want people to understand that even in their moments of confusion, they're actually the very best version of themselves. You are indeed the very best version of yourself at all times. Even when you look back and you use that retrospect thing because you think that time is so linear, you have a past and a future. But you look back and you go, ooh, I was rough. I was mad. I was in pain. I was angry. I was not doing it right. And you have all these judgments that you put on it because you're observing it from like this third perspective layer that you think is therapeutic. But I want you to understand, even in your act of confusion, pain, anger, suffering, you are the very best version. And that it's very important that we trust that. That we trust that within ourselves.
Okay.
So it'd be nice to have other people experience you going through it. You're a very wonderful example.
Well, I'll promise you then I'll put that in it. That's a promise. Pinky promise. It's done.
You know how I do pinky promises?
Not sure, no. I can't.
Pinky, you have to come here.
Oh, okay. I'm going to come on camera then.
Okay, and then you make your promise.
Yep.
Okay, then you have to kiss your thumb. And that seals it.
Okay.
Now you know.
Right, cool, yep. All right, I like you.
I like you too.
Well, we could have gone deep into the nature of reality. I think we did by just your truth of, you know what, I don't want to, I could go there, but, I can't tell you anyway, so, in one sense, so.
Well, I will always be here for you.
I know that. And
so, whenever you have questions, you can just ask me, and if
Yep.
you don't believe that you're being the best channel for yourself, then you can just call Jamie and I'll talk through Jamie.
Well, that's very beautiful of you, and I'm sure our paths will cross again, and I really appreciate you bringing yourself and Jamie here as well. So just much love and thank you.
You're welcome.